Alrighty. Hi, folks. Alright. Need to bust out some colors for my handsome friend. Let me move this down a little. Yeah, that's probably better. And I have changed my sound settings a little bit, so I should be slightly louder. I hope that comes through. Okay. I know I'm using white. I know I'm using yellow. I will almost certainly be using black. And will I be using sparkle? I'm going to be using sparkle. There's no way not. Pseudonym, can you tell if it's different? Does it seem any louder at all, even if it's still on the quiet side? Maybe I won't use sparkle. Okay, yeah, direct comparison is hard. Well, as long as you can hear me. that's a big part of what I'm going for here. So, yeah, I've got it angled a little more at me too, but okay. Good. So today is all about light colors and detailing. I might just start on white teeth just to like do it since I know I want that, and then I can screw around with whatever the hey else. Yeah. Let's just make some teeth. And by yellow teeth, I'm sorry, by white teeth we of course mean teeth with staining and whatever, because nobody's teeth are actually white. That's silly. Crazy talk. Ah, managed to get a bloop. A nice pristine tube of paint, and I went and get a big mess going right away. Oh, I'm gonna want more white than that. Wow, this is just really thin. Oh well. Sad. So I've decided I'm not gonna add Pearl Sparkle, I think, to anything unless I do any other, like, blues. I like the idea of only the blues and greens having the iridescence and everything else having more of a matte or a fleshy sort of feeling. I'm gonna use Burnt Sienna because I love it. Burnt Sienna is a good color. Crack. Don't need a ton of that. That's just an offset. Okay. We got a little bit of yellow. This is cool. It kind of sealed itself shut. Since I'm using these little packets, that's actually value added. Gonna want more yellow than that. I'll start with just a little bit. Put that guy there. Okie dokie. So if I'm gonna make a good tooth color, let's start over here. Because no one's teeth are pearly white. As beautiful as that idea is. Let's definitely just blap some sienna right in there. Oh yeah, that's already a more convincing tooth color. Little known fact, T-Rex probably didn't floss. No floss has been found in the fossil record. Little smidge yellow. It's almost like a pink. The Burnt Sienna's got a real red to it. A little more yellow. Like this strongly yellow teeth. So I keep realizing I'm in my own light here. This is something I might have to change, because I've got natural sunlight coming in from a window behind me, which is really ideal for being able to see some of this. But, nah, I need more yellow than that. Jump in there, yellow, make it happen. The yellow's so bright it's like adding mustard into mayonnaise. Because I still want it light, you know, I just don't want it, you know, weird, eerie white. It's not bad. I want, because I'm considering adding like a drop of green or something to like dirty it up even more, or black. I don't need to think about it so much. I think I've got like almost a bone color, which is pretty okay. Yeah, let's try this. That's not a bad opening shade, I think, for some twofers. Yeah. Throw my paintbrush around. Over there. Let's get here. Let's go right on the big tooth so I can see if I like this. Man, doing these little peg teeth is going to be kind of a trick. Get all the way around them. I don't know. I think it's a perfectly legit tooth color there. It stands out, which is fine. You know, their teeth, they stand out. First I was thinking I might lighten it up, but now I almost wonder if I should darken it down even more, but no. And it's definitely got a yellow cast to it, which I'm fine with. Yeah. No, let's continue on with this color and see what happens. I think it's pretty okay, actually. I'm glad to finally do the teeth, because, like, let's be honest, it's a T-Rex. You're always thinking about T-Rex teeth. But never seemed like the right time. And right now I have these lips as kind of my base coppery color, which I'm liking, but I can see maybe changing that up. So, we will see. So I'm pretty sure one of my channel regulars will not be on today, because Shard Mom was out having a nice autumn adventure, buying pumpkins and apples and stuff. Oh well. Hope she has a nice time. But I'm glad you guys are here. Oh, and then if folks noticed in the, should I turn this over to here a little bit? Nah. Till you know. I mentioned in my channel announcement for people who are following me, talking about Dolly Parton. I've had all day talking about Dolly Parton. I don't The very, very short version is Dolly Parton is great, even if you don't like her music, but you should appreciate her music. And I ended up starting my day listening to Dolly Parton's original version of I Will Always Love You, and then Whitney Houston's cover from the movie Bodyguard, and just kind of marveling at the entire thing. Because I recently saw an interview about that topic. Well, Dolly Parton was talking about selling the rights to that song, as, writers often do. And, she sells it and then just forgets about it, because whatever, selling songs is just part of the gig. And then she was driving home one day when the Whitney Houston cover was first released, and when it starts up from the opening line, she instantly recognizes her own song, and then just pulls over and sits there and listens to the Whitney Houston cover, just completely wrapped. And I was like, oh, it's beautiful. So it's kind of cool when you have talented people appreciating the talents of other talented people. I think it's nice. Okay. Oh man, getting the back of the teeth. There's a big pain. And of course, if you're talking about Dolly Parton, you have to listen to Jolene. So I also listened to Jolene this morning. So you don't even know, you okay? Oh, I see. Yeah, it would be the text-based version of Whitney Houston's cover of I Will Always Love You. Well done. Didn't see that coming. Very nice. Also, you're a giant dork. Yeah, Whitney knew how to draw out a note. I mean, when you got lungs that big, you're gonna use them. You're like, no, I've built up this amazing lung capacity with my huge amounts of talent. Let's go. I'm gonna take this one letter of the alphabet and make it very long. Oh, now it's totally in my head. Thanks. I'd been riding along on Jolene, but now I Will Always Love You is back in my head. Thanks. For anybody else who's watching, I hope it's in your head too. Yes, Pseudonym. As always, my dear moderator, always helping. It's in the job description. If you want to be a Twitch moderator, you occasionally have to bust out in text song. It's a standard part of a contract. Alright, so those are becoming teeth. They are so not sharp. It like the bluntness and weirdness of the 3D print is so obvious when you highlight these as white, but that's okay. It's coming along. It's a little thick. Boop, 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 boop. I need to finish listening to the Bodyguard soundtrack, because I re-listened to the A-side stuff, all the Whitney Houston things, but then there's all the B-side things that I haven't heard in a minute. It's important stuff. Because at this point, that album is culture. That's like important 1990s US culture. And I forgot to silence my phone. Let's see. Doop, doop. Silenced. And that would be my mother sending me a picture of my nephew sitting amongst pumpkins looking adorable. So if you can just picture that, whoever your nephews are, nephews of anybody you've ever met, it's that picture. And of course, equally cute. I've been really appreciating how, like, mild October has been so far in the Midwest. For people who are in areas of the world where things have not been mild, I send you good wishes from the Midwest. It's been kind of nice. It's just, like, perfect weather to go out and, like, pick apples or finish your yard work that you need to get to, kind of thing. September was a bit trash. September was all about raining and being cold. And then October's like, no, some people still need to, like, get their leaves up. Or, you know, wrap their bushes. And it's like, aw, thanks for being so considerate, October. What a great month. Aw, thanks, Nitocris. I really appreciate it. Thank you for the subscribe. There will be more toys and things for subscribers coming up. I haven't gotten everything set up, but I will make sure that everything is retroactive for you. I sure appreciate. I've got a whole thing going on with that, but... Ooh, yeah, pharmacy call. I don't even know what you talked about, but I can picture that. So happy to have you on. We're talking about teeth, Whitney Houston, and Dolly Parton. And the weather. So I hope to bring you some chill after your rough phone call. Thank you. Yes, no, my day started with Jolene. Because if you're talking about Dolly Parton, you have to listen to Jolene. It's only like 2.5 minutes long. It's a really short song. I was reminded of the grandeur of Jolene from a thing I saw on the internet, as one does, of these two boys. They're twins. I would, thank you. These twin boys who are black who do a lot of, I think they're like 17 or something, and they do a lot of music critique, and their fan base was like, man, you gotta listen to Jolene by Dolly Parton, and they hadn't particularly heard of Dolly Parton, and they'd never heard Jolene, and so they booted up, and they're like, this is a fantastic song. Okay, yeah. And it was so sweet where they're just like, no, the pacing is good, and the story is good, and, you know, yeah, so that got me going on a whole Dolly Parton jag. And yeah, then Dolly Parton led to Whitney Houston, and it just does go on. So it's been a good morning for music here. Get in touch with your cultural roots. Midocris, do you happen to know the name of their webcast? I've been blanking all day, so I wasn't able to look them up. Ooh, Dolly Parton emoji. Ooh, a tone correct. I care about. See, I'm glad we're talking about this. This is culture, you guys. This is important stuff. Okay, I will pull them up later, because I loved the little bit that I saw, and then I was never able to find it again, because the internet's wide and deep, and I didn't dig as much as I could have. So, thank you. Yay. And it's great, because my dear moderator is a complete loss when it comes to music of the late 80s, early 90s. And so I expose them to music whenever I can. And so today was listening to a lot of Whitney Houston with a side of Dolly Parton. And again, talking about like how important the the Bodyguard soundtrack was to like the 90s. All of it, all of the early 90s. Because, man, Whitney Houston had some fucking pipes on her. She was cool. Alright, there we go. So I got those teeth going. I tried not to, like... I wanted to make sure there's visible gaps between some of the teeth. I think that's kind of cool, but not all of them. So... yeah. No, Whitney Houston, man. Like, that was an amazingly talented human being. Well, and Nitocris, I don't know if you were on yet when I was mentioning hearing a Dolly Parton interview where she talked about first hearing the Whitney Houston cover of her song "I Will Always Love You" and just being blown away. Like, she was driving, had to stop the car because she's like, "Whoa, what?" You know, she knew she'd sold the rights and hadn't really thought about it, and then was like, "Wow, this got picked up by the voice of an angel." Because Dolly Parton has many, many, many fine qualities, and one of them is just being classy. You know, she's just a kind-hearted appreciator of talent. Yeah, absolutely. Like, I recommend looking it up. I don't remember what show it was on, but I'm sure it's a fairly recent one, I think. But Dolly Parton talking about the first time she heard the Whitney Houston cover is really sweet. And something I just love is, like, the internet just loves Dolly Parton. I feel like I've heard more about Dolly Parton in the last 3 years total than I had ever as a kid. You know, I knew of her, but she was just a lady with really huge hair, and I didn't think about it much. But the internet loves talking about her because she's a philanthropist, and she's funny, and she's so massively talented. Uh, I I once blew Sunanine's mind that a lot of the writing, the songwriting that Dolly Parton does, she writes the guitar music and she has her guitar turned a certain way that she can play exclusively bar chords because she has the huge fake nails, so she can't finger her guitar normally. So she just bar chords it, pressing down her whole finger so that her nail is starting off the side, so she can play her own guitar and accompany herself singing, even though she has the humongous fakey nails. So she has the knowledge and capability of writing that music and augmenting things to work with her personal flair. Like, all right, that's amazing. Good for you. Get down with your bad self. You gotta appreciate talent. Yeah, no, Dolly Parton is a D&D bard in all senses. She'd probably win in a fight. Her artistic skills of all sorts are amazing. So charismatic. So yeah, way high charisma. And nice news about this model, I really like this off-white that I made. Like, now that it's actually on there with the other colors, it's perfectly white enough. Plus 4 fingernails. Um, but still obviously having like a creamy, non-white element to it, which is good. Because the fossilized to the T-Rex is black, but that doesn't count. Adhesive wise, I might be lazy and just use my JB Weld, because I have some that's open. That's probably not the best idea. A regular two-part epoxy would be good, or actually like hot glue. Crazy enough, here's my weird admission for somebody who does a lot of crafting. I do not currently own a glue gun. I do not own a hot glue gun. And a hot glue gun would actually probably be really wicked great for this. The plastic is so thin, like you can see there's actually a hole in the printing, so I wouldn't want to drill any holes. I think I would just weaken it if I did that, so I could just see a big old blob of JB Weld, which is not appropriate, but not the worst. So as long as you don't see it, I don't think it would cause me any trouble. Because the other glues I have right now are super glue, which would not be the right thing. I don't feel that would be good to plastic to wood. And I do have wood glue, which might work okay. And then I have Elmer's glue. Which Elmer's glue is meant to glue paper. It's really not meant to glue other things. It's very good at gluing paper. I totally have Jolene in my head now. But I don't think so. Since the stain was largely a chemical reaction and not like sitting on the surface, I don't think it'll cause me any particular issue. But oh man, sure. Contact me outside the stream. Let us talk about your big box of crafting stuff. Because I probably care. And if you don't want to take it with you on your big move, then I'm helping. So, yeah, helping. Woo! It's been kind of funny. I've been doing so much cleaning to actually have everything set up to do this stream, and I keep finding stuff that I'd saved in the past with like, oh, I'm sure this will be useful, and I'm like, I love this thing I saved from the past. This is going to be so useful. Good job, me. And so it's been delightful. Stuff I found recently has involved all of the wire. I apparently own way more wire than I ever really thought I did. Sweet. A couple of old belts, like canvas belts that could be used as straps and other strapping material. And a couple of like nice little box containers that I can do organizey stuff with. There's another weird one. I only have one container of glitter. Who knew? Although I'm mostly trying to get away from glitter. If it's not the biodegradable organic stuff, I'm not going to buy it in the future. But I do still have one very large container of gold glitter left from some project. Let's see if I can get in here. So my big fear is that I'm going to get white paint on the tongue. So far, so good, but let's hope that's not a thing. And luckily, if it is, I just paint over it like it's actually not a big deal, but you know, be nice to avoid. Oh yeah, slime making will do that. Well, and glitter glue specifically, because you want the glues. Is slime making still trendy, or has that trend faded at this point? Because, man, that was so useful when I was trying to explain to kids what borax was, because I was like, have you ever made slime? Oh, yeah. Like, oh, well, okay. Either borax or boric acid is something you have used if you've made slime. Right. Yeah, no, the craze was nuts. People were all about that slime making. And I mean, it's fun stuff, and it is neat to be able to whip it up at home. I'm not throwing shade on anybody who's made slime. It's fun, but it was a weird craze. Alright. Okay, I have the first layer on all of my bottom teeth, and I'm feeling, like, super good about those. Well, Oobleck's good, too, because it's so easy to make. That's some straightforward joy right there. I feel like people with slime were trying to find ways to make it even more complicated. They're like, we're going to make it clear. Alright, dude. Alright. Man, yeah, those teeth are so, like, rough and knobbly. Oh, well. Limits of 3D printing. At least this particular 3D printer on this scale. Now I'm thinking about Dolly Parton again. Has anybody actually been to Dolly Parton World? I have not. I haven't spent all that much time in that part of the United States, really, but now I kind of think I would want to stop just to see it. But these teeth are really big. I hadn't quite noticed how wide those are, the top ones. Yeah, it's somewhere outside of Nashville, Pigeon Forge, somewhere in that area. I've been, you know, I've been to Pigeon Forge, but I don't think we went. I was really young, so. You know, sometimes I absolutely adore tourist traps. Like, when I first moved to Chicago, we hit every terrible tourist trap. We're like, okay, Navy Pier, let's go, you know, and it was really fun. God, dry areas. I mean, sure, do you? It's the opposite of the amusement park I worked for. I worked for an Anheuser-Busch amusement park, so it was saturated in beer. Like, you knew that you'd sucked up to the boss if you got assigned to work at beer school, because then you're just the person who opens and closes the door and takes tickets, and it's air-conditioned and dark. It was great. All the suck-ups got to work in beer school. These teeth have so many little, like, runaway bits. They're just all these little things sticking off of them. They're terrible. And that's after trying to file it, but I didn't want to file them down, so I didn't go too nuts. But man, they're lumpy. I have seen some T-Rex teeth in my day. They're not lumpy. I've not gotten to touch one, though. Or did I? No, I haven't touched a T-Rex tooth. I've touched other weird things. Quote from Anna Marie: I have touched other weird things. I have. Okay, so I'm still thinking about Jolene. I can't get this stuff out of my head right now. The song is super short. The song is like 2 minutes and whatever. And so here's the question: did she make it 2 minutes long because that's a good length of time on the radio, and that's plum era for cultivating everything, so it's good on the radio, or had she told the entire story? because honestly, the topic of Jolene is, please don't take my man, even though you can. Okay, entire thought. There, we've got it. And so maybe she just didn't have anything else to say. Maybe she is enough of a good storyteller that she's like, no, it took me 2 minutes to tell you the story of my issues with Jolene, and I'm out. Which is actually pretty good. I think there's a lot of stuff that gets drawn out, like people who want to write the great American novel and they really want to write the great American short story. But they plump it up to 1,000,000 pages. But, oh yeah, and she repeats Jolene like 50 million times. Even with that kind of short version. Yeah, because, like, country music, a lot of it's... Okay, yeah, it's a bard spell, so it's got a short cast. I think you found the actual answer. But, yeah, like, she nailed it. It's really just an excuse to chant Jolene a bunch of times, and the story is there, but maybe that's not the point. Okay, so it's a charisma-based bard spell that has a 2-ish minute cast time. But what's the effect? What would the effect of casting Jolene on someone be? Is it an anti... Maybe it's like... Oh, I got it. Jolene is the counter spell to a charm spell. Because please don't take my man even though you can. It's a counter spell. Yeah, so, yeah. I have to use that now. I have to find an excuse. I cast Charm Person. Oh yeah, I play Jolene. Ooh. Yeah, I'm glad you guys are on so we can have these deep and meaningful conversations. I feel like this is doable. Here, I will... what edition? I feel like Dolly Parton should be at most 3rd edition, maybe 2nd edition D&D. She might have opinions about that. But yeah, Dolly Parton as a character sheet would be great. I have done a specimen intake form for Big Bird once, so... Okay, so Nitocris, if you can come up with the perfect Dolly Parton character sheet, because yeah, you're right, it's entirely with your career. Dolly Parton is a bard. Oh my god, you can go through all, like, just the whole album for Jolene, because she also has I Will Always Love You, so, like, is on that same album. So what would that bard spell be? Because that one's also, like, 2 minutes. It's pretty short. Her casting times aren't bad. I mean, 2 minutes in combat, of course, is a nightmare long time, but... can make it work. Oh, these tiny little front tubers. Yeah, they're not really. Oh, Nitocris, you should totally do that. Yeah. Well, like I said, I've done a specimen sheet, which was pretty grim, for Big Bird. Because so in my lab, I printed out an example specimen sheet for how you would record the data of a dead bird that you're going to be skinning, and I accidentally printed it in the wrong printer shelf, and I printed a 11 by 17 specimen sheet, and so I had to make it Big Bird because it was a huge sheet of paper, And we literally went through all of the wiki articles and everything I could find about Big Bird, about exactly how tall he was, what size shoes he wore, things like that, his weight. We got his species name. There is a species name for Big Bird. The only thing that I left blank out of respect for the fact that he is a child character is anything about gonads. I was like, this is already stretching the point a little bit too much. I'm not going to talk about Big Bird's testicles. I got a little class. It's not a lot, but I got a grip onto my little bits of class. And we had a lot of fun doing that. So doing D&D characters for, like, famous cultural people like that could be really fun. Yeah, because you're talking about, like, Carl Sagan and Mr. Rogers, so you'd be kind of going all over the place for your different characters. You could also do all, like, singers, but only some get to be the bard, and that's fun. I'm good for stream quotes. What can I say? But yeah, trying to get, like, a wingspan on Big Bird was tough. Doable, we did it, but... I haven't gone back and made a highlight video in a while, so I can go back and find that clip. If no one had a chance to make one this time. Which is fine. But... I mean, okay, Nitocris, there has to be a D&D character sheet for, oh my god, that was a big wind-up, and then I forgot the guy's name. Chuck Norris. I mean, there has to be. That has to exist on the internet already, is a character sheet for Chuck Norris. Like, I guess Chuck Norris is a monk, actually, since his specialty is unarmed. So way to bunk the trend there, sir. Yeah, Chuck Norris would have to be a monk with, like, a ton of prestige classes. Yeah, I can see that. Monk Paladin multiclass makes sense. Mr. Rogers is a cleric. Okay. Yeah. No, I couldn't even... That's too... Low-hanging fruit. You know, that's too obvious. Yeah, Mr. Rogers is a cleric. If he's even a combat character, because that... I think there's a certain element there. But he's a charisma character, cleric. Man, Carl Sagan. Yeah, Mr. Rogers could be a quest giver NPC. He's the reward. Oh, there's a good one. Yeah, so Mr. Rogers owns the actual nice inn, where the food is nutritious. Everybody goes to bed on time. And you receive back, no matter how much time you spend in there, you refresh all your spells and heal up. Complimentary wonders. Oh, okay, no, you have to change your shoes when you come in, and then you get all the buffs. Now I have Whitney Houston in my head again. Yeah. No dungeon gunk. No one drops their drinks. All the drinks are milk. Okay, so if this is gonna be a fun D&D party, we've got um, Dolly Parton, Carl Sagan, Mr. Rogers. Well, Mr. Rogers is running the inn. Um, what other people from that kind of era could be fun? I mean, you could go for an easy one. Easy. So uh, like Mr. T would be an easy one potentially to do, or any wrestler from that time. Yeah, no, that's too easy. But any of like the classic era WWF wrestlers could be kind of fun to throw in there. Um, you could do a major crossover. So you have something like Sergeant Slaughter, who has done everything and he's in every franchise ever anyway. So why not have him be a D&D character too? Is that a tooth? Yeah, it's a tooth. Oh yeah, someone from Star Trek. Yeah, I mean you could actually Kevin Costner is just a strong case anyway from that era. If you're gonna do, that's the thing with Star Trek, you'd have to do the actual human, not the character. Because so far we've been actually doing people's named. I mean, there's still a persona. Like obviously Chuck Norris had a persona that was Chuck Norris, stuff like that. But if it was someone Star Trek related, you could just do the Shatner. Hanging with the Shat. He's a good guy. Get some Canadian points up in here. Um, oh man, George Takei. Well, we already know he's a fencer, so go that route. You can just send him a message and be like, "Dear sir, what's your D&D class?" And Uncle George would probably laugh his butt off and respond to you. All right, I have to do the inside of the teeth, but this is looking good. Like just cleaning those up. T-Rex teeth, man. Ooh. Okay, so Lucy Lawless, barbarian or fighter? Oh, because the outfit screams barbarian, but she actually has a lot of finesse and stuff, so I'm not really sure, but I'm leaning towards barbarian. Yeah, Sudanine, I like. I think fighters are a little easier to assign. Like, I'm kind of inspired to give Carl Sagan fighter. I think he actually would get wizard. Um, but yeah, no, Carl Sagan's a wizard. Like, one of his, he gets his own spell. It's just called Billions and Billions. Obviously, um, you can't fight the power on that. Yeah, for Carl Sagan, all of his spells do radiant damage. Oh, yeah, yeah. Carl Sagan's too easy. He's a wizard. The end. Like you just got to roll with that one. Okay, so Lucy Lawless works as a barbarian, works as a fighter. Oh my god. Yeah, there's an epic level magic missile. Billions and billions. My god, it's full of stars. Ah! Are there any classes we haven't touched on? I guess, Warlock. I might... And Sorcerer. Oh, man. For Warlock, it has to be... Man, my brain and names today. Black Sabbath lead singer. And Druid, yeah. Oh, shoot. Help me! Ozzy Osbourne, thank God. Thank you. Yes, Ozzy. Jeez, yeah. Ozzy Osbourne should be a Warlock. And I think he'd be happy to do it. Oh, man, Druid from that era. Someone on a nature show. David Attenborough. Be a pretty good one. Or, what's his nuts? Wow, names today. I have no brain. Australian. It's a beaut. Steve Irwin, thank you. Okay, Nitocris, you're supporting this entire stream. You do make this stream happen. Not only are you my first subscriber, you make this stream happen just in general. Thank you. I think David Attenborough's a little bit more druid-like and Steve Irwin's a little bit more barbarian-like, but, Steve Irwin also comes across as somebody who I think would be more of a D&D player. Because he's a nutball. Yeah, Irwin might be a bard. Steve Irwin was raised by druids and didn't quite get it. Oh, rogue, duh! Doop, doop, doop. Okay, yeah, obviously, I'm not thinking of all the different classes today. Man, rogue. There's a bunch of fun directions you can go with that. Okay, again with that era, I'm trying to think of really interesting people. There's, I keep forgetting how to say her name correctly. Iman. The model slash actress slash, like, everything who eventually hung out with David Bowie a lot. Oh, that's fine, yeah. Sean Connery. He's a good one for, like, everything. Are there any famous, actual, like, charismatic criminals from the 80s through 2000s? I don't think so, because that would be fun to include something like that. I mean, because you could really stretch it and say Wesley Snipes, but that was like tax evasion. Although I don't know, Wesley Snipes. Maybe he'd actually be a pretty good rogue otherwise, on top of the tax evasion. Oh, that's an interesting one. Yeah, okay. Alright. I have... Oh, nope. Let's just pretend I started a sentence then, because that sentence was wrong. Oh, Martha Stewart. Martha Stewart's the rogue. Like, full frickin' stop. Charisma, law-breaking, like, 100% Martha Stewart. Yeah, hat tip. That's absolutely brilliant. Yeah, but what is Snoop? Is he another rogue? Is he another bard? Oh, bro, that's such an obvious choice. Yes. I mean, you have to. They're buddies. You have Martha Stewart and Snoop go together like peanut butter and jelly. Like, no. Life partners right there. Soulmates. They're two beautiful humans on the sea of life who found each other, and we're all better for it. Ooh. Yeah, okay, so Snoop gets to be the Druid. I'm down for that. I'm 100% down for that. Yeah, they're at like the Oscars or something. Or just some fancy party people. Oh, they're like at someone's wedding. So let's say they were all at the wedding of like Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, or one of those like horrifically overdone weddings. Ooh, Met Gala would be good for costumes. That's solid. That's solid. Glorious. Oh, it looks like I might have to close my door. I can hear Reed just took a phone call. Silly work. So, hold on one moment. Let me close that up. Oh, tidy that up. My phone made a noise. Doop doop. Oh, and I just see I got a follow from Miss Pilcrow. Thank you. Much appreciated. Okay, so all of these people, these famous people, meet at the Met Gala because that's epic. So they're all going to be in extra super cool costumes. Little do they know that those costumes have, like, you know, armor class. Or maybe they do know that. Maybe that's actually standard for people who get those outfits for the Met. And then they get sucked into a portal which takes them to Fred Rogers' Eternal Tavern. And where he will always greet you with a smile as his neighbor. Because Fred Rogers is eternal. And from there, they're set off on some epic quest to save existence. I'd play that. And or watch it be played. I don't think we picked out a sorcerer. Jolene could totally be the final boss. Please don't take any of the men in my party and eat them. Jolene is actually a dragon. Or like the Teresque's little sister or something. Completely absurd. Not that this isn't all completely absurd. Why would I even say that? What a ridiculous context I try to add. Yeah, nah. I was like, there's a couple of like late 90s or mid 90s like famous magicians, but I'm gonna walk away from that. I'm already less convinced of myself there. So I'm doing second layers of paint on all the teeth now. I really want them to be like a nice solid bone color. And I'm trying to make sure the bases are sort of even. Like you can kind of see some of them I'm really happy with. There's a couple of teeth on this side that I love. They meld into the color of the jaw really well. Some of them are a little lumpy, so I'm trying to make the bases as round and even as I can on my beautiful T-Rex. I really love how he's coming out. This is so good. I gotta do the eyes next. But overall, this has been a great little model. Oh man, maybe part of the goal is to save Whitney Houston because she's such an absolutely tragic figure. Um, like Whitney Houston is the '90s lost princess. So maybe Fred Rogers sends you gallivanting through reality to save Whitney Houston. Give her a better end to her story. Yeah. Whitney Houston is always in another castle. Yeah, my brain is just like flopping back and forth between Jolene and Whitney Houston's cover of I'll Always Love You. Like, it is not musically beautiful to do that. but but there we are. My brain is weird. I'm getting pretty close to done with these teeth. I think I am going to use a more or less pure... Well, actually, no. As soon as I started saying that, I took it back. I don't know what color eyes to make. Because, again, if I'm kind of basing it on birds, a lot of birds have really dark eyes. Or bright yellow. Like reds, yellows, definitely a black pupil, things like that. I think red eye is way too obvious on a T-Rex. I don't think I want to go that route. But maybe like a yellowy amber kind of thing. Be pretty cool. I think the T-Rex in Jurassic Park had like amber eyes. And I agree with Jurassic Park on that one. I disagree with Jurassic Park on a lot of the other direction they took the modeling. But... because feathers, damn it. Feathers. It's a theropod. Alright. I think that's a bunch of beautiful ivory teeth. Pretty happy, actually. So, that's pretty okay. Man, I made a ton of this paint. I so didn't need to. And I don't want to use the ivory anywhere else. So, I won't do that. Okay. So, I want to get out some yellows, for sure. I think like a... I want to do a little bit more highlighting around the face with ivory with bright yellow and or bright white. I actually was considering playing with like just shocking white along here or something really weird like that. Because I left this area along the corner of the mouth blank on both sides. But I can see going like and just really drawing to it. But let's just do yellow. Let's just do like straight up, oh my god, yellow. And the texturing I did for the racing stripe wattles, I really love, because you can see how it's matte compared to the shiny of the blue. And I did manage to capture that texture a little bit, so I think I'll try that with the yellow as well. Because I'm just really happy with how that turned out. And I'm probably going to be mostly using this exact same brush all day. Maybe I can use a bigger one. Let's use a bigger one. And I'm not going to screw with this yellow at all. I love having these deep colors. And so the yellow, just like the red, I'm not... Did I add sparkle to it? You know, it does have sparkle. Oh, well, shoot. I think I have to add some sparkle. Because when you have Pearl Sparkle, you use Pearl Sparkle. This is a new life lesson. More Pearl Sparkle. More of the time. Because I don't want to draw down the... I don't want to, like, wash out the yellow too much, but... I can add a little sparkle. So, I realized I forgot to soak my palette knife, so it's all, like, dried on and growed. Alright, palette knife clean enough. This is not really the fate of palette knife to ever be truly clean. So you can hang out there. So I'm going to just take a big bunch of yellow and get some Pearl Sparkle in there. And I think I just want it yellow. I'm not going to try and orange it out or anything like that. Just having it be like the seriously bright yellow. A lot of birds have like a good yellow highlight here and there, so yeah, let's just add all the Pearl Sparkle. It makes the paint so gritty. All them sparkles. Ah, Pearl Sparkle, you're so amazing. Alright. So I think I'm definitely going to go, like, corner of the mouth, maybe just past the first couple of teeth, up to the corner here, and then, like, maybe stop a little low? Maybe stop there-ish with the yellow. I could just keep going, but I think I want to keep it really just the corner of the mouth. So let's see what that actually looks like. I mean, I'm so divorced at this point from trying to make it look like a cassowary, because of course I never really intended it to look like a cassowary. But thank you to all cassowaries for the inspiration. I accept my award for painting this really well. I will thank all cassowaries. Ooh, I made this really thin. Interesting. See if I can get a thicker part of that. So I do not love it thin. I want this bulky. What if I just get some straight yellow? How thick is the straight yellow? Man. Most of this paint that I've had has been layering on really nicely. This one I don't love the texture. Let me see if I can get my other brush in play here, because my narrower brush might be able to pick up just smaller amounts that I can place more easily. And luckily getting a little bit of white in it won't actually be a problem. too. Although actually, now that I have it at rest and I can see it with natural light shining in it, I love it. So I am instantly feeling better about how the direction this is going. I do still need to really layer this on though. So I want it thick and textury and weird, corner of the mouth, lumpy bumpy. And I have some asymmetry here. I actually purposely painted the two sides a little bit differently. And I think that's going to work out pretty nice with this yellow. Because bilateral symmetry is important, but nobody's 100% symmetrical. We're all a little lumpy. Oh my god, I love this color. This is gonna be fun. Why does it work? Because Pearl Sparkle. This is nice too because it has the underlayer of bronze, and so I don't have any of the gray printed plastic showing through. So even if the yellow has a little bit of transparency to it, which is sort of looking like it's going to, I don't mind. The base color is so rich anyway. It'll be fine. Okay, it sounds like my moderator just got off the phone, so everybody act natural. We don't want the moderator knowing that we've been ridiculous while they've been gone. Obviously. Oh, that yellow is so good. Yeah, so that's already like a good, like, just fluorescent comma going on there. Do I want to go farther? Yeah, no, I'll take it. I'll take it up to the edge of that tooth. But I super love it. So this project has been great because I have now spoken to all three of my nephews over the course of the last week, and they age between nearly 3 to having just turned 1. So these are little kiddos. And the one that just turned 1 definitely does not care about me, what's on the video, or the T-Rex. However, the 2-year-old and the almost 3-year-old are really all about the T-Rex. And that has been a great conversation starter when speaking to 2 and 3-year-olds. So this has been beneficial to video calls to the family. And honestly, I mean, what a great social lubricant conversation starter. Hello, nice to talk to you. Would you like to see my T-Rex? I think that just surmounts all age and other topics, really. Just like, how do you know we're friends? Well, I want to show you my T-Rex. I'm very proud of it. Oh, I love that. That's so good. Okay. And so I'm still thinking I would do the part above it as yellow. Because if you think about when the animal would close its mouth, those would come together and be a consistent thing. But I could also leave it. Okay. I mean, maybe you did name your child after a dinosaur. That's really classy. I actually have an amusing problem talking to people about working on fossils because I have worked on dinosaurs, but they haven't ever been the main thing I work on. And as soon as I'm like, I work on fossils, they're like, ah, T-Rex. And I'm like, no. But Yeah, Greek mythology / astronomy and dinosaurs are pretty... The Venn diagram there is almost just 3 overlapping circles, so you really can't go wrong. Also, Maya is a lovely name. The one dinosaur I worked on was Elasmosaurus, which I don't think a lot of people are going to name their offspring after that, but oh well. It's okay. I got to work on the vertebrae of a juvenile Elasmosaurus, and we knew it was a juvenile because some of the portions of the bone hadn't fused completely yet, which is something you only see in juveniles. So that was way cool. And my lab manager was very impressed because I managed to clean out those unfused areas and made them really obvious. And so as soon as she picked it up, she's like, "Oh, it's a juvenile." I was like, "Oh, I'm so cool." Okay, the weirdest thing that I have touched in my realm of work. I mean, I've got easy ones like fossilized poop. I've touched a lot of fossilized poop. I've destroyed a lot of fossilized poop, which means I've almost certainly inhaled fossilized poop. So that's an easy one. A lot of really interesting partially digested things. Sometimes I can tell the state of a specimen by the texture of its brain. So, you know, is it still boogery and slimy? Does it feel like old couch cushion? You know, so there's that. And a lot of cool living animals. A lot of really interesting insects, sloths. I was sad my favorite sloth passed away this year. His name was Steve. Steve was a good guy. Steve the sloth really liked green beans. much of my jobs have been repulsively fascinating. I've mixed up weird polymers too. Those are mostly just, they're not gross in and of themselves, but they feel funny. Yeah. Got to touch a lot of snakes. Snakes are great. Snakes are so emotional and needy. My God. Like, it was so interesting training people on how to handle snakes in the museum so they'd be able to, like, talk to the public. And snakes were level 2 training because most of the training was that you have to understand the emotional requirements of the snake. It was like, you know, so you can learn on a turtle. A turtle is an opinionated rock that kind of hates you. So, you know, how do you learn how to handle a turtle? Well, pick it up correctly and, you know, the end, don't touch its head. But snakes, you gotta understand the feel of... The snake will tell you through touching it, or how it touches you, how it's feeling. So if it starts to grip you, it's nervous, and it trusts you. Or if it lets go and tries to get away, it does not trust you, and it's obviously scared. Things like that. But if a snake holds onto you protectively, it's your job to rescue that snake and get it out of harm's way. So... Yeah, snakes aren't in fact just villainous metaphors for lack of emotional range. Yeah, no, they're so needy. One of my favorite snakes passed away this year too. She had cancer for a while, so that wasn't really surprising. Her name was Bianca. Bianca was a bull snake, and Bianca was a sassy pants. She was such a good girl. She would tell you what she needed, and she was a consummate professional. Much like myself, where when you got her out of her habitat to begin with, she hated you. She would hiss and gape and occasionally strike at you, so we had to wear gloves to get her out. But then when she was out, she's like, "Oh, I have to go to work." And then you could have kids touch her, and she was great. So, that's pretty much most of my coworkers I've ever worked with. Bianca was great. She wasn't too big. She was maybe like 4.5 feet long, and, what is that? Not quite a 2-inch diameter. She was not a huge snake, but she had this beautiful face where her whole head and neck which, by the way, snakes have a neck. It is different than the rest of their body. Her head and neck was like a iridescent black. So she had rainbows dancing through her scales kind of thing. She's just stupendously beautiful snake. And then the rest of her was more of a classic bull snake, mottled brown. So really good camouflage and stuff. But her face looked like a frickin' villain snake. Straight up. It was so funny. And then she'd, hiss and bite at you. And then we're like, well, time to take her out and have kids touch her. And she was such a good girl. Such a sassy pants. And bull snakes are, so called because they tend to be kind of big, strong snakes that can make a weird snorting noise that sounds like a bull. And so she had her sassiness from that, those sort of species characteristics, but then she worked it. She was a cool snake. She was like the antithesis of another snake that was in the lab named Fang. And oh, she totally threw hissy fits. Thank you for that one. Yes, she did. Snake hissy fits. There was another snake in the lab named Fang, and the best part about Fang is, given that name, you're like, oh, the snake has fangs. She didn't. She was a constrictor type. They don't really have fangs per se. I mean, she's got pointy teeth because whatever, snake, but there's not like there were two big ones. Fang was a king snake, and she was albino. So she was this beautiful, eerie white with kind of almost fluorescent yellow highlights. It's so funny, the undercolors when you remove something like melanin. And because she was albino, her vision was even worse than the average snake. Like, snake vision is usually completely crap anyway, and hers was even worse. And so she famously, you had to be careful how you fed her, because she would bite her own butt and then not let go because the thing she was biting was trying to get away, and ow, something's hurting her. So she would just, continue to attack her own butt. She was not a smart snake. Or is. As far as I know, she's still around. But Fang was like the opposite of Bianca because she was effectively a noodle. She was the color of the noodle because she was albino. And she was so old, she had almost no muscle tone left. So you picked her up and she was kind of this limp noodle, and she expected you. This is after years of working professionally in a museum. She expected the human to hold her up. And so if you were not actually gripping her, she would just slip off your lap onto the floor and then look at you with reproach. Like, I thought we had a deal here. You're the human. You hold me. I'm the prima donna beautiful snake that everybody's here to admire. Fang's great. And it's funny, because given those two snakes, I never ever trained a new person on Fang. I trained a new person on Bianca. Because if you can handle Bianca, you can handle all the snakes. If you can handle Fang, I don't even know if you can handle snakes, because she's a noodle. It was fun. They're good critters. But yeah, snakes are remarkably complex, emotional, needy little noodles. Alrighty. That's pretty okay. So I like the yellow on the bottom. I don't feel like I need to go any farther up the lip. I was considering going all the way around. I don't think I'm going to do that. And I've got this top yellow just sort of stopping there. I don't think I need to go farther. I could do I could even go out and do a structure here, but I think I like having the big bronze schnoz. So I'll do the other side, and then I might do a little yellow up here as kind of a counter, but let's do this side first. Also, I needed to change to this paintbrush. This is working so much better. It's still a pretty thin, kind of transparent paint, but that's okay. Yeah, the turtles at the museum were kind of funny because turtles are not social critters pretty much in most of the ways that we think. Not that snakes particularly are. And so a lot of them were just sort of sour. And we had this one particular turtle named Manny, who some not terribly thinky human being who was on vacation in, I believe, New Mexico, found Manny at the side of the road when they were at like a gas station and went, cool, new pet, and just picked up a turtle, brought him back to Illinois, and realized that they had errored because, I don't know, a turtle takes a lot of work and is not just a novelty thing that you keep in a bucket in the back of your car. And so he ended up getting relinquished and brought to the museum. And he has never forgiven humans for that indignity. And so he's just an angry guy. And so you have this turtle who's like, what, 4 or 5 inches at his longest shell diameter, flaming red eyes, absolutely like brighter red than this, red eyes, filled with loathing and hatred. And his job was to entertain children. And I'm just like, I'm sorry, buddy. That's, like, in another life, he screwed up his karma real bad. I don't know. I don't know how else you end up in that kind of situation. Because a lot of the other turtles seemed pretty okay with their situation. Manny was just this tiny little reptile filled with rage. And he had his own kind of fan base among the volunteers who knew him. So, like, people who would take him out for walks and just loved him because he was so angry. And there's, it's kind of like people who fight their way into being loved by a cat. You're like, no, this reptile will love me. I will get through his anger. And he'd had some favorites. He was okay. And by favorites, what I mostly mean is he wouldn't just pull his head and feet into his shell and huff at you. Because that's what he would do if he was real mad. But I'm sure Samuel L. Jackson would have a fun time reading that, too. Oh, Manny, filled with rage. He was like 2 pounds of nothing but anger and resentment. He's a good boy. He does his best. But, like, sometimes we couldn't take him out because he would just tuck into his shell and you knew he was swearing at you. You just knew it. And there's like, well, we can't do anything with him today. He cannot go out and educate the public because he's too filled with hatred. So I guess he goes back into his hutch and we'll move on. Yeah, it's tough being that angry all the time, I have to imagine. But yeah, and Manny was a tough one too because he was a Western ornate box turtle, and the museum was all about local species, and so it's like, well, he's native to not here. This is a Western. He looks similar, but definitely different than the Eastern ornates that we had, and so he was always kind of the outsider. But he's a good boy. You knew he was in a bad mood if you would bring out treats for him and he wouldn't even go for it. You're like, dude, this is an entire dead mouse because I'm your friend. And he's like, no, I hate you and I hate your dead mouse. Just take your dead mouse and go. Usually walk, though. When they took him out for turtle walks, he was usually good about actually walking. For the uninitiated, a turtle walk is taking a turtle out for a walk. And they love it and they need it. And if anybody owns a box turtle or any sort of turtle that at all, really. It's a good idea to take them outside periodically so they get actual UVB radiation instead of whatever kind of lamps you have. And so we had volunteers, dedicated volunteers, who would take the turtles out for walkies. And they got walkies in the park. And it was great. They loved it. And they would go running around the lawn. And so the requirements for being a turtle walker is you had to be over 18 and you had to be able to keep up with the turtle, which is slightly more detailed than you might think. Turtles travel at the speed of an unattended 2-year-old. So the moment you look up, you're like, oh nuts, I've lost the turtle, or how did they get that far from me, even though they shouldn't be able to move that fast. So people, like, not everybody got to be a turtle walker. There was a certain knack to it. But we had a pretty dedicated team. Love those turtles. And some of the turtles were not into walks. I mean, I'm not always into a walk. So, like, if you took out Pretty Girl, she was the oldest turtle at the museum. She is 1 year older than I am. She was probably born in 1980. And Pretty Girl really wanted to be left alone to nap. And so you take her outside and she would just find a sunny spot and have a nap. And she was pretty great. Sometimes she'd go trundling off. You'd have days where she'd get active. But generally, Pretty Girl just wanted to sit. But if you took Opal outside, Opal would never stop moving, and she would try to eat every stupid thing that was in the stupid lawn. So it's like having a puppy. You're trying to get all the rocks and cigarette butts and stupid things that she would find in the lawn out of her mouth. So you're, like, you're arguing with this 4-inch turtle to get her to cough up the cigarette butt or whatever. So what I'm saying is my volunteers were all heroes. So. So, Nitocris, I'm thinking about other weird stuff I've touched in the course of my various museum jobs. And I once nursed a giant water bug back to health by hand applying hydrogen peroxide with a tiny brush to his face, because he had a fungal infection, like, in the creases of his face. And these are water bugs, so it's a true bug, so it has one giant proboscis that kind of folds up, and the area that he would tuck his proboscis in had this white fungus growing in it. And he was lethargic. And these are native to, like, all of the Midwest. Giant water bugs are all over the place in different countries too, different species. So these guys are, like, native to Wisconsin. And they're also called toe biters, if anybody's heard the term toe biter. And so this toe biter had this fungal infection, and so I would lovingly dab hydrogen peroxide around his mouth, and you'd see it fizz up really humongously. It probably stung like crazy. And then I had him in a hospital tank away from the other toe biters and out of the general filtration system. And after, like, a couple applications of that, the fungus cleared up, and he lived for another, like, year or 2 years, which is pretty cool for a bug. So yeah, I have personally treated a fungal infection on a 2.5-inch long insect. Yeah, so I think the Animal Crossing water bugs are an Indonesian species. I feel like I looked that up. But that, more or less that shape. Most water bugs that you see are some sort of predator. It's just a question of how much of a hassle they'll give you. And toe biters have these huge, their front legs are sort of bent like a mantis, and they can give you a pinch with that. So they're not sucking out your delicious fluids. They're just like, get away from me, boop. So the name is, of course, a little more frightening than it really needs to be, but that's half the fun of common names. So, the water bugs that they have in Animal Crossing, I'm not sure about this. Again, I haven't done all the research, so don't take my word for it, but I think those are the ones that people eat. Because there's a couple of species of water bug that are pretty common food items. I've never eaten a water bug. I've eaten a couple of different insects, but they're hard to get in the US. At least not fresh. You can get canned stuff, but ew. If I'm gonna eat a bug, I want it crispy and prepared by somebody who knew what they were doing. Which I have done, and again, pretty good, actually. My personal favorite insect to eat is still superworms. Yeah, right? Yeah, lobster and shrimp. I mean, those are crustaceans, but they're still right there in Anthropodidae. And yeah, water bugs are true bugs. True bugs all have a proboscis instead of, like, bitey parts. It's a scientific term. Ooh, I might have to screw with that. Meh. There's a bunch of different species of water bugs. I mean, there's just water, man. It's a great place to live. A lot of stuff does it. But yeah, the bugs I like, superworms are the larval stage of a type of beetle called a darkling beetle. So, I'm glad you like my strange and meandering topics. But yeah, if you Google darkling beetle, superworms are also just a major, like, food that you buy for pets. So if you own a lizard or something, you might feed them superworms. But man, you stir fry up some superworms and they get crispy and they taste like pepitas, roasted pepitas. Yeah, no, we do have some spread here in terms of topic. It's pretty great. I believe that superworms are super to differentiate them from mealworms, which are from a different species of darkling beetle. And so they're, like, super sized. Because they're, superworms get to be this big. So they're like whole shreds of cheese that you could sprinkle on your chili and then have crunchy topping on your chili. Which is real good. They're great. I don't like crickets. I've tried crickets a couple times. I continue to not love crickets. I mean, part of it is I don't like chapulines specifically, but... Oh, I bet they use them as bait for fishing. They're not great for a lot of, like, bait use because they're so hard and crunchy. I think of a lot of bait as being softer, so the fish doesn't have to bite as hard to get onto the hook, but if they're a chompy fish anyway, I'm sure that doesn't really matter. So, plausibly. I don't know for sure, but that seems within character of a good bait thing. But yeah, they're basically like mealworms. And mealworms are just smaller. Mealworms are like the size of a vermicelli noodle, more or less. Like a fat vermicelli noodle. And they're good too. Oh man, somebody who was at the museum made mealworm egg rolls. Oh my god, to die for. To die for. I mean, first of all, anybody who's going to make you fresh egg rolls, you eat the egg roll, it's going to be the most amazing thing. So these were fresh egg rolls that she made to order, and then she filled them with either waxworms or mealworms, and they were just stupendously good. The waxworms are okay. The flavor... Waxworms just don't have a lot of flavor. I don't know. They have not impressed me the way that superworms have. And I've never heard anything good about silkworm pupae. I know that eating silkworm stuff is, like, really common in a lot of countries, and anybody I've talked to has not really loved them. So these being, Americans with American food backgrounds, so there's a bias there. Actually, no. I think the one not Vietnamese, sorry, Thai person I know also didn't like them. Yeah, no, Americans, you can't assume they're gonna get the odd food right. Yeah, like here, this is from a different culture. Cook it. Good luck. Bye. So my paint's starting to dry a little bit, which is great because now I can really texture up more and it tends to sit more thickly. And I'm getting some real good, like, rough texturing. I think that's pretty much there. Might not screw with that much more. Okay, so got my yellows. Oh yeah, yellow corn tortillas. Ask a Mexican why that's so wrong. The answer is yellow corn is meant to feed livestock. Alright, so I think I'm going to add a little bit of yellow up here. I think I want a little bit under that eye ridge. I can make that pretty cool. So let's do a little bit more yellow, but I'm wrapping up. I think I'm close to being able to just do the eyes. And maybe some additional detailing with black if I think I need it. Because, like, I might put a little dab of black in that nostril. Although, honestly, do I need to? No, it casts a shadow. So, I mean, that's from painting minis. I usually think of adding shadows to things that normally would have a shadow by themselves. But this is so large, I don't think I need it as much. Yes, you can also press yellow corn into corn syrup. I think you can press old tires and, like, boots into corn syrup. It's so processed, but that's just me. Okay, yeah. That yellow's already looking pretty okay up there. I might just have that have a rounded end. I don't know how much you guys can see. I don't have to do a lot. Like, I'll leave that eyelid bronze, I think. Yeah. This is going in an okay direction. This is reasonable. So my mind just skipped back to thinking about creating D&D characters for various pop culture figures through the 80s, 90s, and 2000s, and that got me thinking about who would have familiars and what would those familiars be. So, like, if Ozzy Osbourne is a warlock, he's got to have something just for, like, fashion. Who did we decide the druid was? Snoop Dogg, I think. You know, what would he have? I mean, Snoop Dogg can go obvious and give him a dog. Like, it's right there. Yeah, don't give Ozzy Osbourne a bat. That would be the wrong choice. Everyone loses. Ozzy Osbourne would want, like, some epic, monstrous, ridiculous thing. You know, non-real animal. And you know what? He can have that. There you go. Yeah, it's kind of a fun eyebrow ridge. And the texturing on that, because it's so big of an area, is pretty obvious. So that's a fun bit. Alright, let's do that on the other one. And that might be all the yellow. Because I think I'm going to leave this area bronze. I don't need to screw with that. I like it a lot. And I considered doing like a big blob of yellow up here, but again, I'm not feeling that. I think keeping it to these kind of two zones is stronger. I slopped more green on this side than the other side. And again, I don't mind if it's a little asymmetrical, but I did want this to be a little bigger, so I'm going to have to just layer a lot on. That's fine. It's working pretty well for that. These colors are so much fun. Because, like, I'm not really mad at a lot of the, you know, Charles McKnight types who are given possibly badly assembled dinosaur bones and told to, like, imagine what the flesh would look like. So, all my love to the original paleontology artists. But I have to say, like, some color, guys. Let's brighten it up. Because even if you're trying to say that they're more lizard-like than bird-like, like, have you looked at so many of the lizards of the world? Like, they're really cool looking. If you've only ever seen Florida anoles, then yeah, you might think that lizards are way boring, but there's so many wacky lizards. I met a lizard once that was a species called a jeweled lacerta. And my god, like, such an apt name. Its scales were like little dots. Like the little microbeads that you might have on a shirt that give it kind of texture. Like, it was so beautiful. And it was all these aquas, like really bluey, greeny, yellowy, you know, it looked like mermaid treasure. But it was a little sassy lizard who really liked to dig. He was cute. Okay. Yeah, so that eyebrow ridge is a little bit smaller than that side. But that's okay. Well, it kind of makes that come to a point. I don't think I'm going to screw with that. I think it's okay. Yeah, I gotta commit to an eye color, I think. Let me clean up my board a little bit. My paint's kind of gone everywhere. You know, I think part of the bias where people made dinosaurs less flashy was probably because really big reptiles that are extant tend to be subtler. You know, so like gators, you know, or even big monitors. There's some pretty ones, but a lot of monitor lizards are more of just like one unified color. But I don't know. I can use this corner. That's enough. Okay, eye color. Let's go for like an amber. Move you there. Doo-doo. So I'm gonna need red. And I have my 2 shades of red. My Naphthol red, which if I recall is... it's not bad. So let's... bloop. Yeah, that's more of a orangish tone. And the other one was more purpley, so I think I'm not going to get that one out. I still have yellow. I still have some sort of dried burnt sienna. That's probably enough. Let's play with that. Okay. So starting off with a nice fiery red. I think I want to darken it. I don't want it the brightest of bright reds. I don't want pigeon eyes. Because man, pigeons, they have real red eyes. I don't know how often you've looked into the eye of a pigeon, but there you go. What were you doing on the subway? Oh, you know, staring a pigeon dead in the eye. We are now brothers. Well, that's already a pretty good color, actually. Let's add a little more burnt sienna, but actually doesn't need a ton. I just needed to darken it down a bit. That's kind of going in a good direction. Yeah, let's punch this up with some yellow. Because I want this to be distinct from the fun colors on the neck. So I don't want to just have something that's too similar. And luckily that one's trending more towards a purple. So... okay. Yeah, I don't know, I want this darker. The more I'm playing with it, the more I want it a little darker. So... oh yeah, pulling that down is nice. Yeah, it's almost like a terracotta at this point, which is pretty cool. Oh, there we go. I gotta catch the light just right. Yeah, so that's like, yeah, that's a good kind of terracotta color. So not quite what I'm going for. I think I want it even richer. I'm gonna be weird. I'm gonna add some blue. I really want to, well, no, green. We're gonna add green because I want to pull it down, deepen that up, pull it in a different direction. So let's see if I just instantly hate this. This might be great. Boop, blap. Just a ton. Make it weird. Make it weird. Let's see. Okay, so this is great because it is much more richer brown now. But I think I did stray farther from red than I wanted to. Which, I mean, that was just a ton of greens, so that's not totally shocking. So let's punch up the red. I gotta, like, move over so I can as much natural as I can. Alright, Nitocris, thanks for hanging. Thanks for the subscribe. I hope you are feeling calm and collected. And yeah, one way or another, you'll get to see the mounted version. I'm not mounting it today, so don't worry, you won't miss that. So, take care. Wow, yeah, because it's already 3. Clearly, I gotta wrap up. Oh, this is such a good brown. I'm gonna go for more yellow, actually. I'm pulling it away from red into yellow, and I'm happier to be there, so... see what happens. So far what's happening is I just have a huge pile of paint, but that's okay. Sometimes you got a huge pile of paint. It's not totally where I want it to be. It ended up being a little brown. You know what? I'm going to try the other red. Because that one leaned in towards the purple side of things, which I might want right now. Who knows? So, my quinacridone, quinacridone, crimson. Yeah, this one has much more of a purple feel to it, but that might actually work for the eye, so we'll muddy this up a little bit. Oh, right off the bat, it's actually looking a little more meaty. It's more like the color of the inside of the mouth. Let's go back for my yellows. I'm going to just put a ton of yellow in this. I'll have a mountain of paint for a really small area. That's okay. It's a nice color. Is it my eye color? I don't know. I think I went too dark now. Or maybe not dark enough. You know, at this point, I've made it so weird. Let's add black and make it as weird as possible. Because I was thinking I wanted to play with black anyway to do a little bit of highlighting, so... Alright. Not a ton to start with. I'm going to move a bunch of that out of the way. I've been playing with too much. And a little bit of black goes really far. This is an unsubtle pigment. Oh, I like it though. This is getting into a nice rich, darker brown. So that's moving in a good direction. I think I'm going to make it a little darker. Let's commit to a little bit more here. Ooh, that might have been too much. That's okay, I've got more. More of the lighter color I can add in. Yeah, it's a little too dark. Pull that back up. Man, black is such an overpowering pigment. Like, good, I guess. When you want black, you usually want, like, black, but... Okay, I lightened that up with some of the other... I'm going to add some red back in. Let's see how that goes. Man, that crimson is so pinky. It's so funny. Ooh, it works in this, though. I might go for that. It's kind of a red-brown. Let's add the rest of the crimson. Let's just go. Just hanging on my board doing nothing anyway. Alright. I'm going to commit to that. I'm going to say that's good. Alrighty. I call that probably clean enough for the purposes here. Okay, nothing on my hands. Wow, I instantly feel better about this having the eye filled in. Having it be so light was very weird. Alright, let's do that on the other one. Yeah, I made a massive pile of paint here with no intention of using it all. That's okay. Sometimes you just take a lot of paint to get the perfect shade. And I realized I biffed this side a little bit. I didn't quite paint the black low enough down, so I'm going to leave that little bit of eyeliner and then tidy that up in a minute. Yeah, that's a good basic crimson amber. Ah, come back a little bit. And I think I'll add a darker center. You know, I'll give him pupils just a little. Yeah, that's a good basic color. Because that's one where, like, I might do some other color sitting on top of it, but for now it's okay. So for black, I've got black on his chin and black around the eyes. So I'm going to add a little bit more black around the eye up there. I don't think I'm going to put anything in the nostril. I think I'm going to let natural shadow, pardon me, do the thing. So the question is really, do I want to add any other black highlights? You know, because, like, I've got an old pencil line there. You can still sort of see that I can just, like, add black, although I like the green. Might not. I don't actually think I need to paint the black of his mouth. The black of his mouth? The back of his mouth. Having this the natural color back there, and again, shadow seems to do it, so I don't need to get weird with that. I'm not going to add, like, any sort of wash to the teeth, because there's so much of the print, the 3D print texturing left, it'll just look like 3D print job. So, I don't love that. I don't want to do that. So, let me just touch up these eyes, I guess. And this dude might be pretty much done. so don't know if I want much more. I'm gonna touch up his mascara a little bit here. Yeah, so that just makes that a little clearer. I like that. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna screw with that. And actually, I could add like a little pupil dot, but maybe not. Yeah, let's do it. Let's see what it looks like. I've got so much of the other paint. If I hate it, I'll just freaking paint over it. I might leave that. It's kind of weird when you see it, but I don't know if it's bad weird. Let me touch up this side. Okay. I want to make sure the pupils are roughly the same diameter. And actually, I don't want that paint to sit too high, so I'm going to lift off a little bit there. Yeah, that might be done. Yeah, cleared up his eye a little bit. Now it's just dark. Looks way better. I love the yellows. I don't think I'm going to add any white. Because white was the other thing. I could add a couple highlights of white. But I don't think I need it. I think that might be a T-Rex. I think he might be done. So then next week I need to get feathers because theropod. So where's my board? In the home stretch here. Boop. That's a good looking dude. So yeah, I'm going to see about getting feathers to put around the base where it attaches to the board, and I'll attach it to the board, and then that project is done. Okay, and here's my little bonus bit for my 2 current viewers. I have a wooden snake that I found amongst all my crafting stuff. And so I'm going to take this just humongous quantity of brown and give it a good base layer, and then I can come back later and I'll figure out exactly how I want to paint this guy. But I'm going to not let all this great pigment go to waste. So I'm pretty happy with it, actually, as a color. Let's see. Use this lighter tone stuff. Yeah, this is a nice color. Good rich brown. Because I might do this snake as like a an actual species of snake, but I haven't totally decided on what I'd do. I'd probably would do it as a garter snake because I just adore garter snakes. But there's some other really cool, like, lesser known North American species that'd be fun to highlight. Maybe I'll put it up to a vote. I might put something up where people can give me some ideas. But a good base coat of brown, it's not like I'm doing a coral snake or something where I want it to have white showing through. And this is using up just a delightfully large amount of this brown. Okay, yeah, I'll do his little head. There. And that's almost all of this lighter brown. Okay. Yeah, so that uses up the vast majority of my brown. I feel pretty good about that. It's nice to not have a bunch of paint go to waste, as I was trying to get the perfect eye shade. I mean, that's just paint. Sometimes you let a bunch of paint go to waste, but get this little dude started. And I might play with this next week too. So next week I'll finish out the T-Rex mounting and then finish this little guy up in terms of paint job. Alright. There. Snake. Alright. So I'll let that guy dry. Because, of course, it's a weird tube thing, so you can't touch all of it at once without getting a huge mess, which I think is, like, the key to why those are fun. Alright. So ends painting for this week. This has been nice. I'm really excited about how my T-Rex is coming out. On Saturday, I will be doing a big, disgusting sheep's head, so if anybody's interested in taxidermy, it is a sheep's head. It has no skin. It does still have its eyes. Super gross. I will put up a warning for that one. So until then, I hope everybody has a nice week, and nice couple days, and I will see y'all later. Bye!